Well, good afternoon, folks. We have him here in person. This is Trevan Evans. Trevan is goes back to the J6 stuff. He's working with Tina Peters, who's wrongfully imprisoned. He's a rebel with a cause, and he's got the brass balls to actually do something about it. He's now been brought in by the administration to fight free speech at the same time that the movie's coming in. I mean, look, his resume probably reads like the who's who of the who's who of the who's who, and we don't got that much time. Trevins, welcome to the show, brother. Tell us what does the audience need to know about Trevins Evans that we don't know about? What's the latest and the greatest? What's on the obviously a forefront of freedom of speech? We want to crush these MFers, if you will. I'm going to try to keep it clean as quickly as possible, and hopefully you can help get this movie out to the masses with the patriots out there. Let's start with J6, please.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I get it mispronounced all the time. Mel, you and I've talked on the phone. We've been hours on the phone back and forth. It's funny, but it's Trennis. It's like tennis with an R.
Trennis.
So there you go. It's all
Yes.
right, man. Look, I've been married 25 years. You can call me a lot of things. I can handle it. All right, man. I didn't manage to survive 20 plus years of marriage with by being sensitive. So anyway, so Mel, look, J6, what a, they call it the stain on democracy. They have all these labels, insurrection, all this just absolute absurd nonsense that in no way, shape, or form fits in a legal box, nor does it fit in a common sense box. So January 6th, no doubt about it, was a huge protest. There was demonstrations there because I would say, don't forget, demonstrators show up to demonstrate support and they want to yell yes for their side, no for the other side. And that's what January 6th was. And the absolute lie that it was about demanding Donald Trump be installed in office is no, it was demanding a meaningful investigation, as members of the Senate and House had said they would do, and that we were going to have that on that day on January 6th. Then Mike Pence did the first part of shutting it down. It frustrated people. And then, the police reacted poorly to the frustrations. And then from there, we led ourselves right down the road into abuse of power to the color of authority took place, and many people were harmed on J6. Demonstrators that stood there were watching peacefully and saw other law enforcement officers. Think about this. You're talking about law enforcement officers that were off duty that saw what they knew was a clear abuse of power under the color of authority. Through that abuse of power under the color of authority, it spawned reaction. The reaction is what they showed people on the news, on mainstream media, time and again for years and years on loop, like it was repeat and repeat of the tunnel and a couple other places where they actually killed a United States citizen, a female citizen, Roseanne Boylan, on the Capitol steps. Everyone's seen that by now.
Yep.
But they didn't show you that in beginning on January 6th. They just showed Lila Morris and others, and they like, paraded them around at places like the Super Bowl, saying these are heroes. When in reality, if that would have been anyone would have reversed the colors, and that would have been a white officer and a black woman, DC would still be burning today under the idea of Black Lives Matter and the other terrorist organizations that the left has at their disposal.
Absolutely. Well, look, we're at a cross point, I think, where we have to. Amber, give me some eraser, like some napkins over there to erase my board, please. Um, we're at a point where we got to burn down Rome and start over again. And the only guy that could do that is Donald Trump. And look, do I think there's still a lot of swamp creatures in there? Yes, absolutely. Do you think that this is going to be a walk in the park? I mean, anybody who's really in the fight, like we are, there's no way that anybody could look at you in a straight face and say this thing's going to be over in 2 weeks or even 2 months. This is going to be a fight that's going to go on for a long time. The other side has been well funded. These communist, Marxist, whatever you want to call them, they're very well entrenched. They're very well funded. They're very well organized, and they mean business because they know that when they lose, there's only one thing awaits for them, and that's down in Guantanamo Bay. I don't think I need to elaborate what that is. And so they have nothing left to lose. They have all the money in the world, and until they run out of money or until we freeze their funds, this fight's going to continue. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I run out of money, freeze their funds, or actually hold them accountable. So we've already seen what happens when a person says that they want to take the action of bringing harm to a United States president that was far more egregious than that. The person was quite verbatim, and they couldn't even get an indictment in DC. Yet somebody that had a hypothetical so-called list of people that they would have to take out if they went to civil war. If a civil war ever broke out, that person was indicted, charged, and convicted and doing life in prison on the sheer thought crime that if there were a civil war, here's some of the targets that we should consider that are definitely going to be the other side. So, how is that? One side is clearly espousing that they want to and intend to kill the sitting United States president. And that person you can't even get an indictment on in DC, while the other side, somebody on the other side of the spectrum, simply had the hypothetical list that in the event of a civil war, right, that these would be targets, they essentially would be, officers in that civil war. And by their vision, and that person gets life in prison. We've been screaming about a two-tier justice system for a long time. We've been explaining the two-tier justice system for a long time. We've been exemplifying how it's been a two-tier system of justice for January 6th versus January 20th, 2017 supporters, who were then, Hillary supporters that said that they would not allow Trump to take office. We've seen this time and again. This is nothing new. Yet here we are watching it unfold, and we're still listening to these corrupt courts. As far as I'm concerned, Donald J. Trump and then Mike Johnson and the others, Speaker Mike Johnson, that is, as well as Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. And people need to take these actions very seriously, realize exactly where we are. It's part of the censorship industrial complex. It's part of the two tiered system of justice. It's part of the capture of America. It's part of the absolute destruction of our constitutional rights, the undermining of our parental rights, religious liberties. All of this all rolls into one to be this moment that you see now. And you can point to any number of actions and say, that's another action. That's another pile, another grain of sand on the scale of injustice. It's another grain of sand on the scale of injustice. And some of them are a little heavier than others. The Proud Boys prosecutions, the persecutions, whatever, the Oath Keepers, the three percenters, what that DOJ did. And we look, and I think the frustration you see out of people in America today, Mel, has a lot to do with the fact, this simple fact. Within 6 months' time, they had arrested over 200 January 6 defendants, right? They were headlong into this insurrection narrative. The select committee had formed and was delivering all kinds of ridiculous nonsense, lies, and narratives. The mainstream media had taken great action in pummeling these people with absolute ridiculous statements about seditious conspiracy and sedition. And people were already sitting there, had plea deals on their desk, and were facing prison time as of this time in Biden's administration. The frustration that people have, I think, right now with the current administration, and I'm not saying with President Trump, but the bottom line is how many people have been arrested, how many indictments have occurred, how many Fauci's have been indicted, how many Hillary's have been indicted, how many Sussmans have been indicted, how many of the people that took part in these actions that committed treason in these United States have actually been indicted, how many people have had charges, how many people have been perp walked, and the number is a very small number, like zero, right? Whereas hundreds of people were already in prison for January 6th. Now, you want to say that a grandma walking into the United States Capitol while the police are watching her walk in, shaking hands with her, hugging her, saying a prayer, turning around and leaving, was somebody that's already been sentenced and done 6 months in prison, right? 8 months in prison. You have a case like that. But yet you have these other cases. We can clearly see what these people did. The administration's told us, Pam Bondi's told us, Harmeet Dillon's told us, oh gosh, Christy Nome said these things. And then, of course, even people from the middle, right? Tulsi Gabbard, you know, has said these things happen. There's problems. This is serious, right? There's treason has taken place. Yet no arrests, no indictments, no treason. I don't see it. We've had one like FBI raid on a home. I'm not saying that the administration's failing. I'm just saying that how is it that Democrats managed to do exponentially more in a short 6, 7 months time? And it's because they didn't have to root out all the bad people that were just there for political ideology. The administration's experiencing those speed bumps once again, where people that are based in political ideology that are rooted in the upheaval or the undermining of the presidential authority, usurping the authority of the executive office, if you will, those people are many that still remain, and getting them out is a bigger problem because then they go and file civil suits and say they've been wrongfully terminated. And the Normisons show up, and here come the Mark Zaids and other people that want to sue based on these people's so-called rights. What rights to commit treason in many of these cases? I think that's a big question. So here's where I'm at with this, Mel. If the censorship industrial complex provides protection for the left and false narrative for the right, and undermines the will of the American people by the idea is to make you the majority believe you're in the minority, so you'll shut the hell up and not say anything, so your voice won't be counted, so you won't say something. Just the removal of the bots on Twitter made a huge difference in what we can see today. Now, bottom line, is this administration, this is the question people want to know, is this administration up to the task? Are they going to take these people in? Or are we just going to ruffle their feathers, piss them off, and we're really going to get screwed, glued, and tattooed when they come back in and continue their abuse of the law under their color of authority? The judges will act with impropriety. The prosecutors or the DOJ will be overzealous and selective in their prosecution, attack American Christians, fundamentalists, patriots, constitutionalists, libertarians, anyone that's not a radical Marxist leftist ideologue that supports communism and the radical agendas.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing? Are we just pulling on the rubber band, or are we going to see real results? I
Yeah.
believe we're going to see real results. I, like most Americans, am also dissatisfied with the pace. I am dissatisfied with the actual justice rolling out before my eyes. Do I know for a fact that many great people are working on this behind the scenes? Absolutely, in their roles. We're working with the Attorney General's office, we're working with DOJ, we're working with others on a regular basis to make sure that these things are happening. But it doesn't guarantee the success of it. And where the hell are you going to take these people? They have to commit some other crime like Schiff or these other people outside the district so you can have a trial outside of Washington, D.C. Because of these trials that happen in Washington, D.C., they'll all walk like Hillary's lawyer or anyone else that I believe were highly guilty of the actions that were said that these people did.
Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to run away
No,
with your
no,
show,
you're
Mel.
good.
But
No, you're good. You're talking about the. I'm guessing you're talking about the Obama indictments. We got him dead rights to center, obviously. On the there's a lot of people that finagled the bagel when it came to the elections, of 2020. We know that without a question. You're talking about that there's also potentially allegedly, and I want to say the word allegedly for YouTube purposes, okay, that supposedly they got him also with the hands in the cookie jar on the guy that shot his ear off. Had he been an inch over to the other side, we would not be having this conversation because Donald Trump would be 6 feet under. So, yeah. Uh, Bottom line is this. My question is point blank to you. Are we going to get our day in the sun? Are we going to see justice? Is it going to drag on beyond Trump? And do we need to get another Trump in to finish the job? I mean, there's so many moving parts here that, and this is central casting on steroids, right? We're in a movie and we don't know what's what. A lot of times we're being distracted, look at some markings on Donald Trump's hands, making people believe that he's not healthy because they got a bigger agenda. For all we know, there could be some makeup on his hands because they need to do something that we don't need to be paying attention to.
so, Mel, here's where I'm at. There's a way to do it now and get it over with. There's a couple of ways. I mean, there's always more than one way,
Yeah.
to skin the proverbial cat, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
But there's a couple of ways. The easiest way right now is military tribunals. You've already set in
100%.
action. You have hundreds of JAG lawyers, administrative judges, and stuff stepping into these immigration cases, right?
Yeah.
Hexas is doing that, and others. You see those actions. You
Yep.
see National Guard on the streets. Make the arrests. Haul these people in. Let's do it under Uniform Code of Military Justice. Let's have tribunals for actual treason and do it that way. That'd be great with me. I would love it. And if people aren't guilty, but I think if they would start making the arrests, start making the indictments, why we're 7 months in and still waiting on, essentially any action to be on the surface, something that the American people could sink their teeth into and say, it's finally happening. People are being held accountable. Not some people we never heard of that are, part of this organization or that or the Fed or
Yeah.
something on mortgage fraud. I mean, look, We want Al Capone. We want him for the murders. We want him for the destruction. We want him for the gang robbery. We want him for all of the crimes of moral turpitude. We don't want Al Capone for tax evasion. We, the people, want these people held accountable for the actual crimes they committed and the undermining of the authority of the United States of America, the voters of this nation.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Listen, if you want to understand how we got here, it's very simple. Yesterday, it's 1:30 in the morning. My wife and I are getting ready to go to bed with my two furry boys from Costa Rica that we adopted off the streets. And all of a sudden, I hit the play button on a video called One Capitalist versus 20 Anti-Capitalists with Patrick Bet-David, which I love. And boy, this thing's got 1,900,000 views in 3 days, even despite all the censorship. When you understand what you're looking at, you can clearly have a 100-foot view or a 1,000-foot view why we are exactly where we're at. The enemy has a very well oiled machine, and out the other side comes out the sausage. The sausage being our liberal kids who are so brainwashed they can't see the trees for the forest. I urge everybody to go watch this. One capitalist versus 20 capitalists. Patrick Bet David surrounded. It is epic. I went to bed at 3:30 in the morning because I could not hit the. Because we ended up having a 45-minute conversation with my wife afterwards, and my wife and I are completely in sync. And so we have to dismantle that educational system because if we don't, we're going to continue to get a lot of what we got right now. 20 years from now, it's going to persist. So that machine needs to be completely dismantled. You agree or disagree?
No, I absolutely agree. So, again, it's the media. Look, the communists did a great job. I mean, I can't remember, it was Susan something or another wrote the book back in the 60s or 50s. I think it was the 60s. She was bragging at the time how she had worked to install 1,000 communists in the New York State school system alone,
Yeah.
that they actually wanted to become educators with the purpose of educating a new generation of America to make them see susceptible to the communist socialist ideology as opposed to our open market free trade, referenced often as capitalistic society.
Right. Now, you got a book that's I'm going to show here for the audience real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Where could we pick up the book?
Yeah, so the book, Call It Insurrection, Comrade, is actually a bestseller. I'm really excited about that. But it's the first book written about what really happened January 6th, not on the day of or in the building. There's a lot of that in there. But this book really covers the legal aftermath, helps people understand what happened to individuals who tried to go to trial, what happened to the Proud Boys, and what was wrong. We've all heard a lot of, oh, the trial was a farce or the jury was this. But this really gets in depth of what we did because I was a part of the legal team. So I found Stuart Rhodes, his new counsel, when Stuart wanted an attorney. I've worked with others like Sidney Powell throughout time, and Roger Roots, and George Pallas, and John Mosley, and Jonathan Gross, and the list goes on, and Peter Tickton, and so on and so forth. So many fantastic attorneys, Robbie Ward, and the list goes on, that we worked dozens of some of these people, dozens and dozens of cases. Others, it was 10 or 15 or 20. But Condemned USA, the organization that represented all these J6ers' interests by raising money, we all worked together all this time. So, in answer to your question, with where we're headed with this, where's J6 headed? There's a couple of things. One, there will be civil suits. I believe that we're going to have some people held accountable, and there's going to be some of this come about, right? Where the likelihood that Nancy Pelosi ends up on trial, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'd have been fine if if it was the Salem witch trials for a bunch of these people, right? As far as what they've done to the country. But it would be inconsistent with our Constitution. So we can't do it that way. It's got to be done. They got to have their perp walk, they have their day in court, they got to get their bond, they got to do all those things. And I want them to go through that process. I want all those people to go through that process like the American people, the 1,600 or so American people like myself, that they bludgeoned and destroyed or made every effort to destroy, because most of us, it didn't happen that way. It happened to many, but a lot of us were resilient or had different opportunities or a different starting point. and we were able to weather the storms and get through this thing. But we, the people, are long from finished, and we're going to have action on these things, Mel. I do see accountability coming very soon.
Very soon, meaning this year or next year.
Yeah, I think this year, I think a lot of this. Now, I asked myself one day, I was sitting around trying to have a conversation, with somebody about this over the phone and trying to talk through it like I like to do. And I ended up kind of batting this thing around. And it dawned on me that there's a strategic piece of this. I want it right now, right now, right now. I want all these criminals that pose or masquerade as Democrats held accountable for what they've done, or Republicans, right? I mean, whoever they are, you're in government,
Correct.
you're screwing us. I want accountability, right?
Absolutely.
It's we all know what's happening. Everyone knows, but nobody seems to want to hold anyone accountable for whatever reason. Well, here's where I'm at. I believe that's coming. I believe that if I were not going to do it immediately, what would I possibly be waiting on? Midterms. I'd wait on the midterms. If I'm Donald Trump, I hold a bunch of these indictments and charges until after these people have won their primaries and that's been solidified. Once the primaries are over and the money's been spent and committed, then I drop the hammer on all of these rogue individuals that are not a good part of the government. And I'm now sitting on how many congressional seats that we could get appointed by the governor in how many places. Strategically, that's what I would do.
Well, I'd like to see the government shrink to by at least 95, 97%. We don't need all this government. All these fake agencies that nobody reports to that we're paying billions of dollars. That's why DOG was so instrumental in being able to find all of the money missing. There's probably, God knows, over the last 70, 80 years, maybe quadrillions of dollars missing. And it's all been funded by you, the people, and me included. So, we have to put an end to all of this. The bottom line becomes, the people are getting tired of waiting. People want to see action like yesterday. People want hope. We know that we're the greatest country in the world. This is going to be a fight. I don't think it's going to be as easy. Look, if Donald Trump goes out and he doesn't take care of his enemies, the only way he survives is because Eric Trump, won the presidency in 2028. Okay, if Donald Trump, Eric Trump doesn't win or Eric Trump doesn't run, and we get an enemy, whether it's a Democrat, Republican, is irrelevant. We know that there are a bunch of rhinos that don't like Trump just as much as the Democrats, which are really more communist than they are anything else. So the bottom line becomes that I don't think Donald Trump has much of a choice. He's got to go Michael Corleone on these guys. He has to. He
You're
has no
you're
choice.
right.
It's either
Well,
kill or be killed. There's no other way out of this.
yeah, so Mel, like I said in your documentary film that's coming up, Dear Mr. President, that I'm excited to be a part of. I think what a great idea, what a fantastic production that's turning out to be. Hope to see you on the premiere there on the 7th, but look forward to being a part of getting that out on the 9th. Amazingly, think about this. I think the American people are frustrated, they're upset, they've seen it, they're out here putting this effort forward. They want action, they want return on their investment that we put you in office, now get it done. Do you want there's an old saying, right, about running up, the old bull and the young bull are up on top of the hill, right? And we see the cows come through. And I don't have to go through it. I won't regurgitate the whole thing, but
A
essentially, do
lot of
you want to
men
go
know that
down there and
story.
yeah, do you want to go down there and visit one of those one of those cows, or you want to go down there and visit all the cows,
Right,
Do you run down or walk down, right? And I
right,
think Donald Trump has figured out a lot in his previous administration. I will say this: people have questioned some of the people in the cabinet, or they don't have full faith in, the continuity of government and what they're going to be able to accomplish. One thing I'm certain of is what Donald Trump learned from the first administration, what he's exhibited in his cabinet in the second. This is a cabinet that's behind him. These aren't people that are going to get weak kneed and be talking about the 25th Amendment or some other nonsense that should have been done to Joe Biden, right? Should have been removed Biden with, but they're not going to fall and be susceptible and try to be lured in by the power. These
right,
people are in it, they're in it all the way. And, the only, I guess, moving part of that we start, we have questions about, or maybe two would be, it's the FBI and the DOJ. It's always
right.
seemed to be a problem, the FBI and the DOJ. And I don't think they're going to be perfect. They're not going to go without making mistakes. They're going to promote the wrong person, but they're listening to the people. When they make a misstep or they do something that they didn't know about, the people are, the base is coming back at them on social media and sending letters and calling, and things are changing. And then they're like, oh, okay, hey, we didn't know this. They've changed course on several things.
Yeah.
Appointments, the administration's changed course on appointments.
Yep.
Um, Look, that's the kind of government I want. I don't expect perfection, but I expect an open mind. I expect that you listen to we the people. I don't just put you in there and then it's like, hey, it's all my decisions from here forward. Sorry about you.
Sure.
That's what we the people expect. I just want a government that will be responsive to reality and truth.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why this is the most dangerous weapon to mainstream media and the cabal government that wants us out. Because if every podcaster on there, on average, can have 1 million followers, and they were making $1 per year per follower, that's $1 million a year. Okay, and don't give me that shit about patriots bullshit. Okay, we're allowed to make money. These guys are out there lying to you, making $10 million a year, and I'm not allowed to make $1 million a year telling you the truth. Bullshit on that. Okay, I want everybody to make 1 million and beyond. You know why? Because when you travel and you're staying in a hotel room, $400 or $500 a night, rent a car, you're going out to eat. It's expensive. So if you want us to have the tools to be able to fight the enemy, you want us to be well funded. Does that make sense? But this is more dangerous than this. And we all got this, but we all got to get this unclogged. This is the last coffin. Listen, if we can get the right Bill of Rights for the internet passed that enforces the whatever new, maybe revised First Amendment, and no one could ever see our forefathers, could have never foreseen this technological advancement to where they could have put that into the Constitution. So it has to be tweaked with. It has to be. So if
Well,
you,
I think we were in pretty good shape with the Smith-Mundt Act and others, and then you
yeah,
had Obama comes along and
yeah,
modernizes, essentially repeals the Smith-Mundt Act, which kept propaganda out of our mainstream media.
yeah,
And now after that, you just found, the Twitter files and other things you've seen, well, that the censorship industrial complex has went headlong. That's what the White House was controlling social media. If a post was gaining traction on a topic, they wanted it removed. They did
immediately.
not allow these things. They had algorithms to
Yeah,
control it, to beat it back. They had bots to advance their messaging and make other people feel as if though they were alienated and they were minorities and that they were, in the minority on the opinion of loving God, loving the country, respecting the flag, thinking of America, making America great again. Well, I mean, it was, these people with it was never great. Okay, guess what? Some things, you're going to say, well, my parents were never great, or my family was never great, or my school was never great. There's nothing on, look, things are run by human beings, these businesses, administrations, countries, whatever, mistakes are made, times change, we grow, we grew. This reality, Mel, is that we, the people,
yeah,
have a chance to change things now. It's right now. We have to, like you said, unclog the airways. We have to be able to get our voices out. People have to know these truths we can share, whether they're through books or the movies, documentary films, whatever it is.
yeah,
These truths have to exist. Pardonusfilm.com, right? We
yeah.
still play this movie for free. Bloodyhill.com. We still stream them for free. These are high quality
Sure.
documentaries made with, people that, would have required large budget came to work on these things. Just like the documentary
Yeah.
here that you're about to release, Dear Mr. President. We have this chance, but the voices are stifled. We can say what we
Yes.
want,
Yes.
but they muffle the megaphone. They
Well,
muffle it so you don't
you're
hear it.
supposed to be reaching, 100,000, 200,000 per video on average. Let's tone it down a little bit, right? And you're only reaching 4,000, 5,000. That means not only they're stealing your money, because there's a lot more people that could probably get some of your products and services so that you could stay alive and do what it. This is what we do for a living now, guys. We're a ragtag army. We're doing it better than mainstream media. We're bringing you the truth. But the reality is, these people, like I said, they're not going to lay down. They need a real fight. I'm Sicilian. I came from Sicily. I was born in Sicily, raised in northern Italy, came here as a toddler. Everybody wants to come to America. Why? Because it's the greatest country in the world. That's why. Even with all our faults, Even though we suck, we just suck a lot less than all the other countries. That's why everybody still wants to come here. If there was no opportunity here and the opportunity was in Mexico, they'd be going to Mexico. They're coming here for a reason. So these oligarchs, these town squares who think they control the Mel Carmines and the Nino Rodriguez's and Mark Fincham and all these wonderful people in 107. As a matter of fact, when you called me at 7:02 in the morning, we stayed on the phone exactly 107, not to get off track. Right.
No
So
kidding.
they wanted they're good friend. He's a good friend of both of us. But anyway, they want to control this for a reason. So these oligarchs think that they can get away with all the bullshit. And I'm telling you, they're not going to be able to. There's going to be a lot of people. This movie should grow real fast. This movie should grow a lot of legs because when you guys see it, you'll agree with it. Either it's going to be a total flop and they're going to put the kibosh on it. But we got so many podcasters, they're going to be streaming it live off of dearmrpresident.net with no commercials in the highest resolution. It's going to be unbelievable. And you're going to definitely want to, on the 8th at 9 o'clock, I'm sorry, the 9th at 9 o'clock in the morning, it goes live. And there's going to be at least 30, 40 podcasters that are going to be restreaming it worldwide. And anybody who wants to restream it, who's a podcaster, you don't need a special key or password. Just go to dearmrpresident.net, not .com. Watch the full video. Go on your StreamYard and broadcast it live to the world. No problem. Okay, just don't try to download it, or well, you can't download it anyway. But don't try to make a copy of it and sell it. The movie is free. We want it to grow legs. Okay, so yeah, brother. Listen. Every time I talk with you, yeah, we end up staying on the phone for like hours. I love it.
Hey Mel, I got to show you something.
Sure.
Can you see that?
Barely. What is that? Oh, yeah. I think there's like a spear
Let's
at the
see.
top.
Let's see. It's a diamond at the top.
Oh, nice.
So that's a 9/11 diamond. We're coming up on 9/11, man.
Yeah.
We all know where we were,
Yeah.
where we froze that moment in time.
I immediately called. I immediately called that out. Immediately, I said, "There's no way. There's no way." And these guys
Well,
who are Allah, whatever, and they believe in whatever they believe in, who are over here snorting cocaine and hanging out with hookers, who couldn't fly, who couldn't land a Cessna. Yeah, they did that. And we want to keep our language to a minimum because you know how YouTube is. We're still under their algorithms. Not for long. NFL, not for long. We're coming for you.
so I'll leave this with you. That's a 9/11 diamond. There's 314 of them in existence in the world. There'd never be another one. There will
Nice.
never be 315 or 320. There'll
How do I
always be
get my hands on
340.
one?
So you go to our website. You go to
What is your
American
website
Rights
address?
Alliance, American Rights Alliance.org. Now, these things aren't cheap. I'm just telling you now.
Hmm.
There's some nice pieces in here. The one I'm wearing is about $5,000.
Nice.
And, but you're buying a piece of history. That money these were made there's an excellent guy. I mean, I just can't even say enough about David. He has been incredible. This is the guy that was the appraiser for all of this jewelry. And because so many people tried to claim so many things, this guy came out and said, look, the Chase Bank offered him all the jewelry, said, here, take all the jewelry, take all the stuff, buy it all the stuff out of safe deposit boxes and other. We'll give that to you as part of your payment for being the appraiser on this massive tragedy. He accepted them. They've been sitting in his safe all of these years. And when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden started comparing 9/11 to January 6th, he turned them into these beautiful platinum, white gold, diamond pendants made like Tiffany jewelry. I mean, it's just top notch. So I urge people to check that out because that money goes back into the charity and it helps individuals that are affected by January 6th.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys know where to
And well,
go.
it's people that are still being affected that
Yeah,
matter.
we'll
So
put the links down below as well so you guys can get to that website and support the good guys. If you want good things to happen, you got to shop with the good guys. You shop with the bad guys, bad things happen. You shop with the good guys, good things happen. It's simple. It's a simple formula. Brother, when this whole thing is done, I'm going to take like a week off. I'm going to go rent a cabin in the middle of St. Augustine in the woods somewhere where I got 20 hectares. I'm going to walk around naked and take showers in well water and hang around my two furry boys and just chill out and shoot my gun and relax. When I come back, I'm coming guns blazing. I'm gonna make the most prolific documentary America's ever gonna see. And I'm telling you, I get good at something. I get a little cocky. Okay, this documentary, when it's all said and done, I will simultaneously piss off Americans to a level that they've never been pissed off before. When I show you what I got to show you, you're going to be flabbergasted. You're going to demand whatever it is you're going to demand. And it is unbelievable. We're bringing in the experts of experts, the black belts of black belts on the subject. The subject yet to be announced. Stay tuned. Brother, thank you for coming. I'm going to hold you over for a little bit. And guys, get this out and make sure you support Trennis Evans, okay? And support Mel Carmine, support Nino Rodriguez, and support everybody out there. Thank you.